the loving father and his precious home. He was a man of silence, a man whose hands had built the very walls he lived in. Each brick of the house held a memory. Laughter from days gone by. The sound of tiny feet running in the hallways. The smell of his late wife's cooking still felt alive in the empty kitchen. He was proud of what he had built. Not just the house, but the life, the family, the future. His son had gone far. Married, busy, absent. But one day the phone rang. And the voice said, "Baba, we want to come live with you. We'll take care of you. You won't be alone anymore." The old man smiled. His weak heart felt strong for a moment. He dusted the guest room. He cleaned the front yard. He even picked some fresh flowers and placed them in a vase. Because his son, his blood, was coming home. They arrived with suitcases, with dreams, and with something else hidden. Something that did not show in the first few days. The old man felt warmth again. The house echoed with life. Laughter returned, even if it wasn't always his. His daughter-in-law cooked. His son fixed the broken bathroom door. They took him to the doctor. They helped with his medicines. He thought, maybe this is how old age is supposed to feel. Safe, surrounded, loved. But something in their smiles felt hollow. Something in their eyes seemed to be watching him too closely. Especially when he opened the drawer, where he kept the house papers. He ignored the feeling. Because fathers always want to believe the best, even when their hearts whisper otherwise. And so the days passed, with tea in the morning, and stories in the evening. But the wind had already started to change. It began with small things. The chair he always sat on was moved to the corner. His teacup was replaced with a different one. His bedroom door no longer closed all the way. Tiny changes. So small they could be missed. But he noticed every one. His daughter-in-law stopped sitting with him after dinner. She started keeping her phone close, whispering more than talking, avoiding his gaze, smiling only when his son entered the room. His son, once warm, now always tired, always busy. He no longer listened when the old man told stories. He no longer laughed when the old man joked. One evening his son said, "Baba, I need you to sign some documents. Just routine things. In case something happens. You trust me, right?" The old man nodded. Of course he trusted his own blood. He didn't even ask. His hands shook as he signed. But not from doubt. Only from age. The papers were taken away quickly. Folded. Hidden. Locked somewhere he'd never see again. Days turned into weeks. His name was no longer on the mailbox. He asked about it. His son said, "It's just a postal change. Nothing big. Don't worry about it." He started to feel like a guest in his own home. The food tasted different. His chair was never clean. Even the old clock he loved was taken down. One morning, he entered the kitchen and heard his daughter-in-law say, "He's too old. He doesn't need all this space. He should stay in just one room." She didn't know he was standing right there. He turned around, slowly, walked back to his room, closed the door, sat down on the bed. That night he didn't speak during dinner. And no one asked why. The house that once sang with memories was now full of silence and shadows. But the worst was still to come. It was a cloudy afternoon, the kind of sky that looks like it's holding back tears. Just like him, he walked into the living room and heard something that made his heart freeze. His son was on the phone, saying, "Yes, the house is fully in my name now. We can put it on the market any time. Old people don't live forever." The words hit like thunder. He stood there quietly, invisible, like he had become a ghost in his own life. That night he asked his son, "Beta, did you change anything about the house?" His son smiled, fake, cold, and said, "No, Baba, nothing to worry about." He went to his drawer, the one where he always kept his papers. His hand shook as he opened it. Empty, every single document. Gone. He sat down slowly. His legs felt heavy, his breath shallow. And in that silence, he understood everything. The signatures, the polite smiles, the sudden respect. It was never love. It was a plan. He remembered how they treated him in the last few weeks. Like a burden. Like an old suitcase taking up space. He confronted his son the next day, tears in his eyes. "Beta, tell me the truth. Did you take my home from me?" The son didn't look up from his phone and said, "It's our house now. You're old. You should be thankful we let you stay here." His voice broke. "But I built this, brick by brick, with your mother, with my own hands." The daughter-in-law entered the room, laughed softly and said, "Maybe next time you'll think before giving everything away so easily." He looked at both of them, the people he loved most, now strangers. He stood up, walked to his room, sat on the edge of the bed, and cried like a child. But even those tears were wasted in a house that was no longer his. It was a cold morning, but the chill that day didn't come from the weather. It came from within. The old man walked into the kitchen, looking for a cup of tea, but found none. The stove was cold. The chairs were empty. He waited, hoping someone would notice, but no one did. A few hours later, his son came in with a file. His face was stiff. His words were harder. "Baba, we need this space. You're not safe here anymore. You should go live somewhere else." The old man blinked, confused, hurt. "Where will I go? This is my home." The daughter-in-law entered, dressed up, phone in hand, and said, "We have already decided. You can take your things and leave." He stood still, his voice soft. "This house, I built this. For you. For your children." The son stepped forward, grabbed his father by the arm, not gently, not lovingly, and pulled him toward the front door. The old man stumbled. His cane fell. He reached for the wall to balance himself. "Please, at least let me sit. At least let me think." But they didn't listen. The neighbors saw, through half-open windows. But no one came out. No one stopped it. The door opened. The wind rushed in. And just like that, he was standing outside, alone, shivering, tears rolling down his cheeks. The door slammed shut behind him. And with it, every memory, every piece of his heart, was locked away. He sat on the cold bench near the gate, holding a small bag, his clothes, his medicines, and one old photo of his wife. People walked past, but no one really saw him. That evening, as the sun disappeared, he looked back at the house, one last time, and whispered, "I gave you everything, but in the end, I had nothing." He sat on that bench the whole night, watching the lights in the house he once called home. One light in the kitchen, one in the hallway, both now out of reach. The wind grew colder, his hands stiff, but his eyes stayed open, staring, remembering. The sunrise. A soft voice called out, "Uncle, are you all right?" It was his old neighbor, a kind woman who used to bring fruits for his wife. She looked at him, and her eyes filled with tears. "Come inside. You can't stay here. You'll fall sick." He nodded slowly, too tired to speak, too broken to refuse. She gave him tea, a blanket, a room with an old bed. It wasn't his home, but it was warm. Days passed, and he said very little. He stared out the window for hours, watching the sky change, waiting for a face that never returned. But one day, the neighbor's grandson came to him, sat beside him, and said, "Grandpa, can you tell me a story?" The old man looked at the child, eyes wide, innocent, and something in his heart moved. He began to speak, slowly, carefully, telling tales of his youth, of the house he built, of the family he raised. For the first time in weeks, he smiled, just a little. Word spread in the neighborhood. Children started visiting, sitting around him, listening to his wisdom. He became a teacher again, a storyteller, a reminder of forgotten values. He never returned to his house. He never fought for the papers. But he found something else. He found respect. He found kindness. He found people who saw him, not as a burden, but as a blessing. And one evening, as the sun dipped low, he whispered to himself, "They threw me out, but they couldn't take away who I am. I am still a father, still a builder, still a man with a story." He closed his eyes, with peace, not pain, because in the end, home isn't just walls. It's where your soul is heard, and where your heart is safe. If this story touched your heart, take a moment and think about the elders in your life. They gave us everything. Their years, their strength, their dreams. And what do they ask in return? Just respect. Just a little love. Just to not be forgotten. No parent deserves to be thrown out. No father should beg for a place in the home he built. If you agree, leave a comment and say, I will never forget my parents. And if you know someone who needs to hear this story, share this video with them. Together, we can create a world where no elder ever feels unwanted. This is Elderly Wisdom Official. Thank you for watching. And remember, respect is not a gift. It is a responsibility.